Tonight we're having the great debate, is there a property bubble or is there not? And with the government at the moment, and I think they're bringing in 3,000 immigrants every single day. And these 3,000 people need somewhere to live. And how is the bubble going to burst when you've got so many new buyers coming in? Does the bubble burst? No. Why? Because people want to buy it. It all comes down to supply and demand. So is the bubble going to burst or we're going to have endless growth? However, when there's an issue of supply and there's a lot of demand, that's going to keep pushing growth until it stabilises. Hello, George Markoski and Christina Markoski coming to you live for the Positive Property Show, and welcome. Tonight we're having the great debate, is the great Australian property bubble debate. Is there a property bubble or is there not? What I've got something for you tonight is something different. There's been a national survey done on Australians about market sentiment, about salary, housing, everything else like that. So I'm going to go through that later on. But first, we're going to start with this debate. Christina, bubble.
Hi, George. Good afternoon.
Well, if it's a debate, one of us has to say it's a housing bubble.
The great Australian property bubble debate. Imminent crash or endless boom?
So, okay. What are you going to go for? Because we need to have different sides.
Okay, I see. You want to make it like a...
Yeah. Why don't you push that it's a bubble and I'll push that it's not? Or the other way around.
Okay, I don't mind, whatever. Or we could just talk about the points in general for both.
Okay. Well, okay. People are saying there's a property bubble. And the one thing they're saying is this. They're saying that property prices have never been higher, ever, in Australia.
Well, that's a fair point.
That is a very fair point. We've got to call that one. They are. But I want to say something else, though. I want to do a counter to that. That's what I want to do, right? So are they the most expensive they've ever been? Yes, they are. They've never been higher, property prices. However, if you look at history, just about any time you look at the property prices, you can say one thing. They've never been higher. You could literally say it every year, nearly every month. So over a 10-year cycle, you can say that every time. And then there's a little dip and you can say, okay, they have been higher, but only for a little bit because they're still the highest they've ever been. So I think when you talk about property prices never being higher, I don't think it's a serious argument.
Because they're always going to be higher.
The stock market's never been higher either, right? Because what happens is we got this thing called inflation. And the capitalism is built on inflation. So governments are printing money all the time. And that's the thing we need to realize. And because of that, prices are going to keep going up. And every time we look at it and go, wow, this is so high, surely can't keep going. It does, because inflation pushes it.
Yeah. But would you say, with what's going on in the world right now, that we could be looking at a correction? And the property bubble burst could be around the corner with the Strait of Hormuz closed again and, supply chains being stifled. So how is that impacting the property market in Australia?
Yes. Okay. That's a good point. And I appreciate you bringing that up. So market sentiment's at all-time low. And the Strait of Hormuz is really a big challenge because they keep opening, closing it, no one can make up their mind. And
I feel like it changes every 10 minutes.
Oh, look, not every 10 minutes, but the Iranian government and Trump and the Israelis they've got different goals, right? That's the thing. And because they've got different goals, it's hard for them to have an arrangement and agree. And, you think they're going to have a ceasefire, and they have at the moment. They've got a ceasefire. And Trump extended it again. He said he wasn't extending it, but extended it. So the fact of it is, it's going to be very hard to have an off-ramp. I doubt it's going to end soon because I think all parties involved are very stubborn and it's going to be tough.
Yeah.
So what's that going to do to the economy? Well, what it's going to do to the economy is it's going to do what COVID did.
Right.
Right? Because with a contraction of availability of energy, right? So what's happening is we're not getting enough diesel. The thing with Australia is, though, when gas prices go up, we make more money if we do it properly, right?
Okay, explain
So,
how it
okay,
works.
well, we're one of the biggest exporters of natural gas in the world. We've got a lot of resources. So when there's resources that are getting clogged up, so look what happened with Ukraine and Russia, right? So Ukraine and Russia, basically what happened there is the war happened. So it was
Hmm.
harder to get oil out, harder to get gas out, harder to get coal, iron, and also wheat, because Ukraine's the breadbasket of Europe. So who took its place? Well, Australia went up. Everything went up, right? And if you look at our trade surplus, we've got a massive trade surplus. This is how you rate countries in the world, right? Because what you have is you buy things from different countries and then you sell different things in different countries, right? Imagine, you own Australia and you're selling coal here, selling iron there. We pick up some cars from Japan, we pick up this other stuff. And what happens is then you've got either a trade surplus or deficit, right? A surplus means that you've sold more things that you bought, which is good, right? It's a bit like if you earn 2,000 a week, right? And you spent only 1,500, that's good. It's not bad. But if you earn 2 grand a week and you spend 3 grand a week, that's bad, right? Now, that's America. That's what America does, right? They spend big, right? Just their interest alone is so expensive, like you're crazy. So Australia actually is a good position because we actually spend less on things coming in than things going out.
Right.
And then the Strait of
So we've got a
Hormuz,
surplus
we're a surplus, which is a
with
very
our trade.
powerful, very strong, very powerful thing. Now, at the moment, we don't tax our resources in the right way. And I did a post about
I
this
can
a long
agree on
time ago.
that, absolutely.
Now, all we have to do is tweak that a little bit, and we're literally going to be a rich country because of this. So we're going
But
to
with the politics in Australia, do you think that will ever happen?
look. I hope so, but we've got a crossroads now. Door one, do what we always do, and then totally tank our economy and
Mhm.
stuff everything up. Door two,
Yeah.
create a better policy,
Mm.
tax the gas cartels, because there are a
Mhm.
bunch of cartels, tax them, tax our resources going out, right? And then we can actually become the richest country in the world again. So we've got a great opportunity. It's very exciting if we do it. Now, there's been a lot of pressure. I mean, the government makes more money out of taxing people's drinks than taxing gas at the moment,
Wow, that's
right?
crazy.
Now, that is so crazy.
That's where their focus is.
Their focus is let's tax everyone. Well, look, Australia, they make more money out of taxing people for cigarettes and alcohol,
I was about to say
right?
cigarettes. Yep.
And the thing is, the fact of it is, the policy is backfiring
Hmm.
because they've taxed it so much that now it's so worthwhile for criminal
They're
gangs
creating
to,
an underground market. Yeah.
and they're making billions, right? So what happened was, if you look at America and prohibition created the massive underbelly of criminals in America that's still there to this day. And unfortunately, our government taxing tobacco too much is just creating a lot of gangs and mafia and underground criminals. It's ridiculous, right? Because what you need to do, you need to tax people, but not too much. But the Australian government loves to tax our wages, tax cigarettes. They love taxing all the people so much. But they're too scared to tax the billionaires. They're too scared to tax the big corporates that take all our resources and laugh all the way to the bank and pay sweet FA tax at all.
Hmm.
Right? Japan's now asking us not to tax our gas that goes to them, but they tax the gas when it comes in and make money out of it.
Wow.
It's like, okay, Japan, why don't you take your tax out if we're going to take our tax out? And why can't we tax our own resource when you're taxing them when you get them from us? You know?
Hmm.
So what we need a strong leader that can do deals. I would love to just do deals with the government, right? I'd love that. I'd love that, right? I wouldn't want to be a politician. I'd love to be hired as a negotiator and just do deals that work for the Australian population. I'd love to do that. Because
Yeah,
that's what we
yeah,
need.
that'd
We
be
need
great.
someone that can do deals and someone that's not going to be bribable. You know
Do
what
you
I mean?
see that ever happening for Australia, though?
Them hiring me to do deals for them? No, it's not going to
No,
happen.
I mean someone who can do deals getting into that position
Okay, so
in politics.
if you look, Victoria had Jeff Kennett, right? And guess what happened when Jeff Kennett got in power? He did deals.
Right.
He went to the Grand Prix, took it from Adelaide, took the tennis, took everything, and put it all in Melbourne.
Made the state great.
He made Melbourne so amazing that property price went up. They had the best restaurants. Everyone was getting jobs. They were making money, and it was equal to Sydney, right? Because
Yeah.
Melbourne was falling behind, and Adelaide, Brisbane, and Perth were moving past Melbourne, and Melbourne was just stagnating. Jeff Kennett took over, and then Melbourne became equal to Sydney instead of went past all the other cities.
Yeah.
Then who did they have recently in Melbourne?
Dan Andrews.
Yeah, they had Dan Andrews, and Dan
COVID.
Andrews took it from
Put Melbourne in the toilet.
equal number one to on the bottom, right at the bottom,
It's
right?
funny, I was having this conversation with a few people today, actually, about how Melbourne used to be the greatest state in Australia, and now it's considered one of the worst after COVID and after the full almost lockdown for 2 years, and it just destroyed the economy.
Yeah. So we really need the right governance, right?
Oh,
And
it makes a huge
the,
difference.
the, the challenge is we've got Labor at the moment, who I think suck. I feel that one person that did a good job for Labor was actually Kevin Rudd, and he only did one good thing. Everything else he did was pretty crap. Like during the GFC, he just gave $2,000 to all the lower income earners, and what they do, they just spent it on TVs, right? Instead of helping the economy, see, Malcolm Turnbull, he helped the economy. He did a lot better. He actually got us through. He did a great job with JobKeeper and job assistance, right? He kept our
Yeah.
infrastructure going, and we became the richest country in the world. Kevin Rudd did one good policy only, the 35% tax on mining and resources, and he got stabbed in
He
the back.
didn't get it through for long, though, until they
No, didn't
removed
get it
it.
through at all. Didn't get it through at all. Julie Gillard stabbed him in the back and just took over and curtailed to all the mining
It
companies, right?
never eventuated to anything, though.
Now,
He
I
tried.
mean, you think about this, right? The mining companies aren't willing to pay 35% tax on their billions, but they expect the average person that earns over 150,000 to pay 50% tax in Australia, right? So, the workers that work, all the FIFO that work for the mining companies, they pay all this tax. The mining companies don't pay it, right?
Yeah.
So what's happening is the burden of tax is going on the middle class, like always. It sucks. So let's go back to the bubble. Is this a property bubble, right? Is the bubble going to burst? Because a lot of people are curious about that. Is it going to burst? Look, the fact of it is, we've got to look at supply and demand. Because when you look at housing price at the moment, it makes your eyes water, right? Doesn't it? Right? It does. It does. It's
Very
like
expensive.
you look at it, and you look at buying a property, you want to cry, right? But I've been through places like this before. Basically, the fact of it is, it's the supply and demand that's the issue. And with the government at the moment, and I think they're bringing in 3,000 immigrants every single day.
Yeah, that's huge.
And these 3,000 people need somewhere to live. And how is the bubble going to burst when you've got so many new buyers coming in,
Hmm.
right? You know, when Apple, when they released a new iPhone, they charge a lot of money for it. Does the bubble burst? No. Why? Because people want to buy it. It all comes down to supply and demand. That's what it comes down, right? And the
Yeah.
fact of it is, I'll show you some stats soon, that we had more construction companies go broke during COVID than in Australia's history. That's how bad it is. More companies going broke in construction than the last 100 years.
Wow.
Now, guess what's going to happen again very, very soon?
Similar thing again?
Yes. So what happened was COVID thinned out the herd,
Mm-hmm.
and now they put more pressure on, and the people that survived that famine, that survived through that, they're going to get hit again. Because the problem is, if you've just gone through all this pain, right, and making no money as a construction company, you need to make money to get back on your feet. They just started making money again, and guess what? They're getting hit again now. They're getting smashed, and there's going to be a die-off again. So it's a bit like, the dinosaurs. I see the construction companies like the dinosaurs. And when the comet hit and they all died, well, basically COVID hit, a bunch of them died, there's a few dinosaurs left, and now they're getting hit again by another comet, right? They're all embargo. That's the thing.
So you're saying only the toughest will survive?
Only, look, what's happening is the construction companies that are really dialed in or backed up with a lot of cash, they're going to survive. And people that are unlucky, just bad timing, they didn't expect this to happen. So some of it's skill, but some of it's luck, right? People with a big pipeline of fixed costs, they're screwed as well,
Right.
right? So what's happening at the moment? This is the funny thing. Auction rates have gone down in Sydney and Melbourne. And auction rates, when they go down, it usually means that property prices are going down. That's just a fact. We've got to look at it realistic. So the signs are that the steam's coming off and there's a slowdown. This slowdown, how long it will last? Not long, because you can only slow down for how long before. So what's happening is a lot of people are selling and they're going to end up renting. And they're going to go, wow, it costs so much to rent. I have to buy again, right? Because it's not going to help. And now the government wants to get rid of negative gearing and GST concessions, and that's going to make the market even tougher. So is the bubble going to burst, or we're going to have endless growth? You can't have endless growth forever. However, when there's an issue of supply and there's a lot of demand, that's going to keep pushing growth until it stabilizes. And the only way to stabilize is, the only way we can stabilize is what we need to do is we need to cut immigration right down. And then we need to build more property. So even cutting immigration right down is not going to fix the problem because
We've got a massive backlog.
That's right. We've got a massive backlog and we've got a
were supposed to be built, but we
yes.
missed the mark. And each year that gets bigger and bigger.
Not only that though. Remember last week or the week before I spoke about how we've got a lot of approvals, but they aren't turning into builds because people can't
Yes.
afford to build them. Well, what do you think is going to happen now with construction collapsing? It's going to get worse.
Yeah.
So that pipeline, which is already 100,000 houses short, is going to get even smaller.
Surely the government's got to do some sort of bailout here to get things moving.
Look, the government, this is what they need to do. They need to, one, slow down immigration and make it reasonable. Immigration is good for the country, but only if it's measured, and we need to slow it right down. Slow the F down. Then what we need to do is tax our resources. We are in the lucky country. We've got so many resources. We've got a lot of smart people here. Australians have got a beautiful culture. We've got everything going for us. But we just need leaders that know how to lead and can make the tough decisions and help us go forward in a good way. Everyone in Australia should be doing really, really well. We should be kicking ass, right? We should give less money to the billionaires and more money to the middle class, more money to the people out there working and actually creating Australia, making it happen. So the big debate, is there a housing bubble? Housing is expensive. That's the fact of it. But the other fact is construction costs have gone up. So if you buy in today's price, it's going to cost another 35 to 50,000 to build a house in 6 months' time. So whatever you're looking at now, the price you're looking at now, is going to be 35, 50,000 more expensive, even if people don't want to buy it. So this is the fact. Even if no one wants to buy it, you still need to build it for that price. So therefore, it has to go up by that much anyway. The thing is, though, you got people wanting to buy it, so it's going to go up even more. So I feel that the pressure is so strong that it's going to push property prices anyway, long term. Short term, market sentiment can have funny things and we might have a little dip. But long term, it's going to grow. What do I tell people to do? Here's what I tell people to do. You need to build your portfolio one property at a time, regardless if it's summer or winter. The season's going to go around. And what happens is people forget that when it's summer, it's going to be winter. When it's winter, it's going to be summer.
Yeah.
But it is. And what needs to happen is you need to stick to principles and just build your property portfolio one step at a time. Let's go through the survey of what Australians are feeling at the moment. And then after that, we're going to do Q&A. So if you've got any questions, type in the chat right now. We're going to talk to them about them. Let's go.
Yeah, I can see we've got quite a few come here. I'm getting ready to read these out when the time comes.
Yep, let's do it.
We're going to go through the survey first.
Yep, go through the presentation. Okay, so Australians are losing confidence in the system. Across Australia, confidence in the system has started to crack. National survey reveals growing frustration with the cost of living, housing affordability, and the direction of the country. So this is not just economic data, this is sentiment. And historically, when sentiment shifts like this, the data tends to follow. So this is the biggest concern for people in Australia right now as we speak. The housing crisis is become the top concern. So you look at this. What is the biggest cultural problem facing Australia right now? 24% are saying housing crisis, 23% domestic and family violence,
Wow.
16% anti-Semitism. Well, that's a lot of people worrying about anti-Semitism. 15% is other, 13% wealth disparity, 4.3 future to close the gap between Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians, 2.8% Islamophobia, 1% access to education. That's what people are worried about at the moment.
Fascinating.
But interesting that housing and domestic violence are the two top concerns in Australia.
Was it multiple choice, and did they only have those options to pick?
They only had these options to pick.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. So what happens is when you got multiple choice, you almost force an answer,
Of
right?
course. Yeah. Because it seemed very specific with those sorts of concerns.
Exactly. So I don't think you'd ring someone up and go, "What's your biggest concern?" They're going to say Islamophobia, probably not, or anti-Semitism, probably not.
Because someone's got to pick that box out if you send it out to enough people.
Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating. Okay.
So what makes you most worried about the future of Australia?
High
The
cost of
cost
living.
of living, right?
Yeah.
So cost of living is the biggest thing that people are worried about. And I get
Rise
that.
of artificial intelligence, 6.1%.
Yeah, but let's go through the numbers. So cost of living, and I can see that because inflation creates cost of living issues. And we've already gone through massive inflation in COVID. So we've finally settled down and now we're going to go through it again. Like, how many of these cycles can you afford? How many of these cycles can you handle? But guess what number two is? Immigration, right? So the government needs to listen, because if they don't listen, what's going to happen is everyone's going to vote in Pauline Hanson instead to fix the immigration issue. And I don't think that's a good answer. And I know a lot of people think, Pauline Hanson, she's going to get in there and change things and all that. I think we need a whole team of good people, politicians that can do a really good job. And I'm hoping the Liberal Party can step up and do this job themselves. Rise of wokeness, 20%. I mean, people were worried about that a while ago, but they're still worried at the moment. Okay, so then housing prices, then climate change, and rise of artificial intelligence. Interesting. The one you picked out, Christina.
Mm-hmm. Other 3.3%.
What salary do you need to be rich? Okay, now look at this. Okay, so rich now starts at $250,000 a year.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm not surprised.
So you look at this, 21% people say you need to make over $450,000 a year to be rich. Then 90% said 350 to 400. 20% said 250 to 300. But 20% said 200,000 to 250. So interesting. Only 2.4% think 80 to 100,000 is rich. I agree. I don't think it's rich. It's going to be hard, right? So now most Australians think top tier income is now the baseline for wealth.
450,000 plus.
Yeah. What minimum salary do you need to get by? So 34% said they need 100 to 150,000 to just get by. People need six figures now just to get by. And I can
Mm.
understand that because everything's gone up in value, right? Then 17% said 150 to 200K, 27% 80 to 100. And then 10 said 60,000, 6% needed 200 to 250,000, 2.8 needed 250,000 to 300 just to get by. 1.9% of people need 350,000 to get by. They must be living in Sydney. And I can understand that. In Sydney, you need a lot of money. How much money do you have? Okay. So 17% of people have got $5,000 to $20,000 savings, right? And then 12% have
Not a
got,
lot, less than 20%.
can you read this out? It's very small writing, Christina.
Yeah. Which one do you want me to read?
Let's start at 17 and work our way down.
Next highest looks to be 12.8%,
Yep.
100 to 500,000.
Okay. They're doing very well. They've got
Wow,
lots of
that's
savings.
huge. Yeah. Then
Okay.
next is
So these
20.
people that have got 100,000 to 500,000, get your money at the bank, put it in property.
Then next is 12.7%, 20
Yep.
to 50,000.
And then 10% of people got 1,000 to $5,000. Not a lot. So the fact of it is, this is the thing. We've got inflation at the moment. So regardless of whatever they're saving, unless they've got this on an offset account, they're saving up to buy a deposit on a property, it's going to shrink. Okay, look at this. People are skipping, 1 in 3 people avoiding the doctor because they can't afford it. And this is Australia, not America. In America, everyone avoids the doctor. But look at that. Yes, I can't afford, so I've got to prioritize other things. Nearly 30% of people. Crazy, right?
35.6%. No, but I think it should be cheaper.
Yep.
This
No,
is
I think, yep. Do you
with
think you're
Medicare.
taxed too much? Okay. 76% of Australians said, oh, yes, I should get to keep more of what I earn. Amen. I agree.
76% of Australians are switched on.
Oh, wait. Look at this. 2.2% said, no, I'd be happy to pay more
Pay
tax.
more. Yeah,
Well
right.
done. Bravo. No.
Who ticked that box?
People that work for the ATO.
I
Does
don't
Australia,
believe anyone ticked that, honestly.
does Australia have a problem with the tall poppy syndrome? 51% yes, 49% no. Okay, so 51%, yeah, we are a society feel that need to drag down people reaching success. 49 no. The only people who complain about this are those who big note themselves. Interesting. I really, I've traveled around a lot and I've noticed a big difference when it comes to in America and Australia. And America do not have tall poppy syndrome. America almost overboard where they love success and really worship it. Where in Australia, we bag it a little bit. And I think I don't want to be like America. I don't think we should worship success, but I think we need to appreciate it and appreciate people that have become
We've got to have
successful.
a healthy respect for it, though.
Because if someone's become successful at something, well, it's not easy to become successful. So they've done something good and we should appreciate it and learn from it. Not go,
Yeah.
oh, what a loser. He's rich. You know what I mean? Do you lie on your tax return? Okay. Most Australians still playing it straight. 76% say no. I am always
Always
truthful.
truthful. Under
Okay.
2% say,
Six,
yes, I have in the
six and a
past,
half
but I wouldn't
percent.
anymore.
Yep, 6% said prefer not to say. I wonder what they're doing.
I think we've got the answer there. 3.7% said, yes, I try and get away with as much as I can.
Look, I
11.6%, yes, but
I
just a little bit.
my view is I think you should never ever lie in your tax return. I think it's stupid. I think what you should do is legally reduce your tax as much as possible, but do not
Correct.
lie.
Yeah.
Because lying is a false economy. It's going to catch up to you sooner or later. Okay, what income do you need to have to afford to have kids in 2026?
32% say more than 200,000 for the household income. 36.8% more than 100,000. 19.2% at least an average salary of about 100,000.
So what they're saying, you need more than 100,000.
Yeah.
Starting a family is not cheap.
No.
And that's another thing people need to look at. Okay, what age do you think you'll be able to comfortably retire?
42.7% say between 60 and 70. Less than 50%.
21%, what are they saying?
I don't think I'll ever be able to comfortably retire.
That's sad. 10%, 50 to 60, 16%, 70 to 80, 0.4%, 30 to 40, 2.6, I am retired but not comfortable, 5.2, I'm already retired comfortably. Look,
Right. Fascinating.
the fact of it is, around about 92% of people end up on the age-old pension. And I would suggest, for most people, the age-old pension is not comfortable.
Well, it's not keeping up with inflation, for one.
No, it's not. It's not. I think it'd be very difficult at the moment if you're on the old age pension. I mean,
Every year it gets further and further
the
away.
thing is, if you look at the old age pension, we spend more money on NDIS than the old age pension, which is
We
crazy.
certainly do.
And the thing is, the old age pension, people worked all their lives to get there, paying taxes. And I think the least we can do is actually reward them with giving them a comfortable lifestyle when they retire. I don't think we should be allowing Australians to work their whole life and then struggle. I'm totally against that. I'm just not impressed that that's what we do. How worried about are you that AI will negatively impact your job?
So 48% say not worried, my job couldn't be done by AI.
Yep, sure, not until next year.
Give it a few years, those stats will change. 25% somewhat worried, and then looks like everyone else is sort of not really that worried or that
No one's
concerned.
worried at all. No one's worried at all.
Just yet.
Okay, are you worried about Australia becoming a cashless society?
42% say yes. I'm worried about the effect on older and disadvantaged people. So 28% say yes, because I frequently use or am paid in cash. 24% say no. I'm still for it.
Yeah, look, I like the option of having cash. I think it's important. But also, I mean, you look at sometimes what happens when governments think that you're the wrong person, they can just freeze all your assets. And then what do you do if you've got no cash? Right? Because the
Interesting.
problem with cashless society, it gives governments and big banks too much power over what you can and can't do.
With your own money.
Yes. Would you consider leaving Australia and moving to a different country? Well, I said yes to that. But have a look at this. 56.6% said no, I'm not interested. 32% said yes, I'd like to. That's a lot
high.
of people. That's
Wow.
huge.
No wonder they need so much immigration to keep up with everyone leaving.
Yep. 8.6 said I've moved to another country, but have returned to Australia. What's the last one?
2.4%. I've left Australia and live in another country.
There you go.
They're the people who have actually done it.
Yeah, a lot of people are leaving the West and moving into other countries for a lot of reasons. I know quite a few people that left Canada because they were too woke in the schools and they wanted their kids to have an education that wasn't too woke, and they went to another country. Okay, if you're a tenant, do you believe what you pay in rent is reasonable?
71% doesn't apply to me.
Because they're not tenants. We don't have a lot of tenants in Australia. And 20% said no, it's not too high. Oh, no.
No, they said no, it's too high.
Sorry.
They think their rent is too high.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I really mistook that one. 6.9 said yes, it's fair. That's my tenants, by the way, just letting you know.
1.2%, I should probably be paying more.
Oh no, that's the ones where you get that tenant and you're like,
Haven't
oh,
had
they're
the
such a
rent
good
put up in
tenant,
10
and
years.
yeah, exactly, right? And they're like, they're a good tenant. They're very stable, yes, but you haven't put the rent up in 10 years. Okay, have you considered selling your home in the past 12 months due to mortgage stress?
46% have said, I'm not in mortgage stress and have not considered selling. 36% doesn't apply to me. Then 8.8%, I'm in mortgage stress, but I haven't considered selling. 6.6, yes, but I haven't gone through with it. And 2%, yes, I've sold for this reason.
Yeah, so you can see it's a very small percentage.
Yeah, interesting.
Very small
I thought that
percentage.
would have been
Exactly.
much higher personally.
Yes, a lot of people just haven't got the mortgage stress,
Mm,
which is fortunate, and the people that do are sticking to their guns. It's interesting, isn't it? This is very
yeah.
interesting to know. If you own a home, how long do you think it will take you to pay off your mortgage?
Okay. 27%. I have paid off my mortgage.
Look at that. That's huge. And
That's
that's
amazing.
very indicative of Australia. We're the lucky country because
Mm,
there's not a lot of country where you can see that at all.
yeah.
And that
15.9% within 30 years.
if you look at that 27.4%, they've already paid off their mortgage. That's part of the reason why our property market is so strong, because
Mm,
the property price in other countries are so expensive compared to their income, they wouldn't be able to do that.
right.
Yeah, we're very lucky still. Let's keep going. No, go back. I want to go through the numbers.
Yep. So 15.9%, say within 30 years, 18.6 within 20, 15% within 10 years, 7%, I don't think I'm ever going to pay off my mortgage, and 16%, I don't own my own home.
There you go. Do you still aspire to own a house?
60%, I already own a home.
That's good. Well done.
19%, yes, it's the Australian dream.
It is the Australian dream, and I want to keep it alive.
10%, yes, but I've accepted I will never be able to afford it. 5.7%, no, I'll never be able to afford it. I don't think so. I don't think about it.
Yeah, interesting.
3.2%, yes, but I'll buy an investment, not a place to live because of
Look,
prices.
they're very smart. Look at that. Rent vesters, right? 3.2% of people are rent vesters. I thought I'd point that out. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and
That's a smart way to
1.9%.
go.
No, I don't care. I'm happy renting.
There you go. Some people don't care.
Hmm, interesting.
So, okay, now let's go to the state of the nation. Rate cuts are not coming anytime soon. Our unemployment rate remains stable. So, what's happened is because of an inflation and everything that's happening, the RBA said that if the unemployment rate goes up, they might cut rates. But unemployment hasn't gone up. People have still got jobs, which is good news for the economy. Now, what we're going to look at is back in the 90s, unemployment rate was over 10%, and property prices still went up at 10% unemployment.
10% fuel reduction use. Interesting.
Working. Here we go. The economy hasn't felt the real impact yet. So, fuel shortages slowing growth and are expected to hit jobs in coming months. The risk is the RBA tightens too far before being forced to reverse. So this is the impact of 10% fuel reduction use. Mining, construction, transport, agriculture.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the thing though. You look at that second graph, construction, that's a double whammy because the 10% fuel, if it affects construction, that means less properties getting built and more construction companies going broke. And look at construction costs. So have a look at this graph because this is really important. We had 2020. As you can see, constructions went up in 2021, 2022. Then finally, they went back down in 2023, 24, 25, back to normal. And look what's happening now. That graph is off the charts and it's bigger than what happened in 2022. So basically, material input costs are rising sharply and builders are
Mm-hmm.
getting hit with another wave of price increases in 2026. It's going to be tough for everyone. And the construction industry is heading for a breakdown. So rising costs and contract pressure are pushing builders towards insolvency. New supply will stall as projects become unviable and contracts collapse.
Who's going to come in and finish all these projects, George? Because there's going to be so many half-done projects in Australia.
Look, half-done projects are the worst thing ever because they cost so much to
No
build.
one wins.
Yeah,
Just sits there and does nothing.
yeah. So what's going to happen is there's a big pipeline. That massive pipeline we saw of properties that have been approved
Mm-hmm.
ain't going to happen. A lot of that pipeline is going to get cancelled. So the
Right.
smart builders are going to cancel before they go broke. The dumb ones are going to start building and go broke halfway through. And that's what happened in COVID. A lot of people got stuck with half-built projects.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to sue them, and then they got no money, so then you can't sue them. And then to get a builder to finish a project that's half built costs more than building the whole project on its own, because the thing is, what builders do is they create systems and they've got teams, and those teams know their work. So to take on something different is too expensive and too hard. So let's get on to real people, real results, why smart investors are buying right now. Let's have a look. Welcome. This is Tristan. So do you want to go through this, Christina?
Yeah, so Tristan used equity from his owner occupier in Queensland to get into Beaudesert. So settled in 2025, purchased for 419,000, did a 10% deposit, currently valued at 565,000. So it's had capital growth of just under $150,000 on the first
So
property there in Queensland.
$146,000 in about a year.
Yeah, less than a year.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yep. Let's go.
So next property, Caboolture, Queensland. So this one also settled in 2025, purchased for 550,000, 10% deposit, currently valued at 700,000, capital growth of 150,000.
Great.
So that's 300,000.
There's got one ACT.
Looks like he's recently got into that one.
Yep. But that means that he's made $296,000 in about 12 months. Now, if you look at that survey, people say that over 250,000 a year is rich, and Tristan's done that with just his property portfolio, not even working himself. Is Tristan here tonight? Oh,
hello,
look at
Tristan.
That. Tristan, how are you?
Evening. How's it going?
Hello.
Very good.
Yeah, absolutely stoked with those results. That's cool.
Congratulations.
Look, I'd love to go through your journey. How did you hear about us? How did you find out about a Positive Property? Let's go from the beginning, because this is I'm curious.
I was on maternity leave with our third one and scrolling through TikTok, and then seeing both Christina and George's different TikToks, and thought, there might be something here. So I had a moment where in between no sleep with children and having some time, but sort of delved into it. I sort of tried having an investment property myself and going through that, and ended up getting rid of that totally to be able to be cashed up and use equity and get into these ones. So I suppose Caboolture for me, though, is using super. So, I mean, virtually, not even 18 months with build and having it all done now. And essentially I've made another 150 grand in my super, which I wouldn't have done in a retail fund. So that's absolutely worth it.
Okay, I've got one question first. Okay, whose TikTok convinced you, me or Christina?
Christina wins hands down.
Sorry. Of course.
Thanks, Tristan.
No worries.
Tristan, I understand that. That's fair enough. Now, what happened to your first investment property? Did you buy that on your own? Why didn't it work out? What's the difference with what we did with you?
Yeah, so I bought an apartment before I was with my wife, and I'd lived in that originally, and then we obviously blended together into the house, and so I kept it. But it was an apartment that had 8 units or 8 apartments in it. And then we ended up nearly 3,000 a quarter on Body Corp. And then they had structural wall issues for it. And they were talking about taking another 150 grand loan out on top of for the Body Corp. And I was just, alarm bells. I'm like, got out of it, made a little bit of money out of it, so I didn't lose anything. But
good.
Absolutely get out of that before locked into really, really high Body Corp stuff. So, and it's able to then use equity where we are now and a little bit of that cash. And so, keep the journey going. But got the executed contract back last week for Canberra and the ACT there. So that's exciting. So,
and you've just paid $1,000 deposit down to secure that property.
Yeah, I've got to pay another 47 soon, but yes, that's but absolutely still 10% deposit. Like that's just crazy. And exactly like you've highlighted tonight with the costs, we're going to see another huge spike, and certainly locking those in for a fixed fee now is a big benefit for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. What I was going to ask is, What was your biggest challenges as you went through the program buying property? Because people hear the good stuff. You made a lot of money, well done.
Yeah.
But there must be some challenges as well.
I suppose like Bow Desert was a good 18 months. So I, joined up, signed up, all excited with the steam, and then the sitting and waiting part was just the real hard bit to actually, oh, hang on, am I doing the right thing? Is that still there? But now, I mean, Bow Desert's just ticked over a year being tenanted now, and got a rent increase as well. So it's just, yeah, absolutely. The proof is in the pudding there, but I suppose me being impatient as well, that was probably the hard bit for me.
Yep. And now with what's happening with the building industry, we're going to have to be very patient with properties, because
Yeah.
I'd rather be patient and get my project finished than be impatient and not get it finished, because that's the thing that people are going to experience over the next couple of years. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, most definitely. But big thank you to PP team. Awesome. Happy to be making money with you all. So
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
One last question. What would you say to people that are watching this live right now, thinking about investing in property?
You snooze, you lose. Jump in. You have to.
I love it.
Yeah. There's sitting idle on the fence and wondering and waiting for that moment. It just thinking, put your investor hat on. It's not somewhere where you need to live or anything like that. It's, think about what's going to give you the best return and jump in.
Excellent. Thank you. I really appreciate you. Thanks, Tristan.
No worries. Thank you.
Thanks, Tristan.
So, Christina, we're going to go through the Q&A now. We're going to go smash into the Q&A. We're still on the live in the public group. What we're going to do, go to the Q&A, and then we're going to go in the private group after that. Okay?
Yeah, easy. So is there any concerns around building supply shortages? I've heard online about the PVC shortage, which will cause delays in construction. Is there any truth to this?
Yes. Basically, there's a PVC shortage and the price have gone up as well.
Yeah.
And it's going to create delays.
From my friends in Melbourne, business has gone backwards there.
Yeah, Melbourne's been a bit of a challenge. However,
I think we all know that.
the thing is, what we're going to realize about Melbourne at the moment is Melbourne's in winter. And what happens after winter? Spring. I can see where Melbourne is price-wise. It's got room to move. So it's good.
What deal today still works if interest rates continue to rise? Growth stalls for 5 years and costs increase aligned with inflation. Then explain exactly where it breaks.
Okay, say that again, because that was a big comment.
That's a lot, I know. George, what deal today still works if interest rates continue to rise? Growth stalls for 5 years and costs increase aligned with inflation.
Yeah, okay, look, growth stalling for 5 years when there's such a massive issue with supply ain't going to happen.
Unrealistic.
Yeah, so that can't happen. The fact that is growth cannot stall for 5 years. In order for growth to stall for 5 years, what we need to do is, one, stop all our immigration completely and then catch up. So, for example, New Zealand, they had a different situation to us because they didn't have the issue of supply that we did. They were still building a lot of houses and getting a lot of immigration, but then they cut immigration completely. And what happened was they were geared up to build all these houses. They kept building and created a bit of an oversupply. And then New Zealand had a correction, but now they're going back up again. So in order to stop growth for 5 years, we need to stop immigration for 5 years.
George, how confident are you with your builders and developers not going broke with the current pipeline of work?
Look, I'm very confident that we've got very good builders that know what they're doing, that we've had good relations for a long time, right? So I'm very confident. I'll never guarantee anything because this is unguaranteeable. Could one of our builders go broke? Yes. Have any of our builders gone broke in the last 20 years? No. So you look at our track record. We've got an amazing track record. For 20 years straight, every single person that's joined our program has made money and not one builder has ever gone broke. There you go.
Okay. Got a Question here from Craig and Michelle about discretionary trusts. Do you know anything about unincorporated associations and corporate trusts?
That's a lot of legal words. No, I don't. I've got a basic grasp of understanding of trust, but I'd rather get someone that knows trusts to actually explain that.
Yeah, yep. That could be a whole episode with a financial advisor on that topic alone.
Yeah, totally.
All right, cool. That's come to the end of all of those questions.
Okay, well, guess what we're going to do? We're going to our private group and dig deep on some topics. We're going to say goodbye to the public group. Thank you very much. And get in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.